Hi, everybody. Steve Pelton here from We Thrive Together. Today is another awesome day. The sun is shining. We have an expert joining us today to talk a little bit about health and wellness. So let's jump right into it. So our expert's name is Kris. He comes to us from the Trumbull County Health Department. So Kris, would you mind taking a second and introducing yourself to the group?
Yeah, so my name is Kriebel. I am the health educator and creating healthy communities coordinator for the Trumbull County Combined Health District. I've been in this role since early 2020, so right before the pandemic hit. So it's definitely been interesting seeing the adaptability that has been needed for this job and how things have changed and progressed and finally have improved. We're able to get back to what is deemed the new normal.
Yeah, it's so true. The new normal. It's going to be an interesting ride. So let me ask you this question. So some of us might not know what actual health educator is. Would you mind sort of describing what that is a little bit more and maybe a little bit of how you do that role for the health department?
Yeah, so to put it simply, health educator, obviously we educate the community on health. So we're providing information on health and health-related issues that address public health needs. We create positive health behavior changes around, physical activity, healthy eating, positive mental health. Specifically for my position, I work on policy systems and environmental changes when it comes to healthy eating and active living. So that could be working with a local business to implement a healthy vending policy for either workers or if it's it's a fitness center for any of the members, so that they are provided with nutritional foods and beverages that meet the nutrition standards. It could be improving the built environment, so working on improvements to parks in Trumbull County as a whole. Working on this year, we're trying to implement some bicycle infrastructure to help individuals who like to ride their bike around town. So we have a bike rack, a bike pump, and a bike fix-it station. Obviously, with anything mechanical, sometimes things happen. So providing that so individuals are able to repair it if needed. Also working with the city as a whole, we passed a couple active transportation plans. So active transportation is anything beyond travel with a vehicle. So that could be, improving the walkability, the bikeability of a community, making it more connected, especially for individuals who are unable to have, access to transportation, whether it be by vehicle or public transit as well. So those are some of the things that I work on specifically. Health education is kind of an umbrella term. Individuals can be consultants. They could assess health education needs. They can train individuals. They could work within hospitals, within community health. Typically someone in this position has credentials in public health, health promotion, or community health. So we're all just working to improve the overall health of the community, and it could be more specialized. It could be something with someone working on weight management, diabetes management. Like I said, it could be something more specific to mental health, physical activity and exercise. So again, it's an umbrella term, but specifically those are the things that I do as part of the health department.
Thank you for explaining that, because I think a lot of us, when we hear health educator, we sort of think of somebody standing in front of a classroom saying, all right, this is what we want to eat, this is what we don't want to eat.
Right.
Obviously so much more than that. So thanks for talking about a little bit about the breadth of all the different things that you'd be doing. So as a follow-up question to that, how did you get into, obviously, the health department? Like, what sort of drew you to the health department in terms of not only taking this role, but obviously really engaging on helping community members in all facets of their health and wellness?
Yeah, so my background is in nutrition and then health education. And then I also have the certified health education specialist certification. Just kind of narrows down my scope of work and around the 7 areas of responsibility of health education. So I was working for United Way at the time doing after school programming. Obviously a very rewarding job, but I'm more so into the physical fitness and healthy eating aspect of my education and career. So I was looking for something new, and actually one of my old coworkers from a previous job, I used to work at Akron Children's Hospital as well, sent me a link to apply to this job. And so small world, one of my other ex-coworkers and someone I had actually worked with when I worked at the hospital They were actually students of our health commissioner, Frank Migliozzi. So I heard really good things about him. I had a personal connection. So I learned about, what the job entailed. It was things that I'm passionate about, and I obviously enjoy helping other people. So, I applied to the job, went through the interview process, and obviously got hired. I've enjoyed it ever since. Previous to this, was before I started working on like policy systems and environmental changes, I did more programming. So it was definitely something I had to get adapted to, and I'm still learning a lot. So that's pretty much in a nutshell, how this job came to be and why I did apply to it, because it is something that I went to school for and I do have passion for.
That's great. And obviously jumping in like right before COVID, it doesn't make it any easier to get, sort of get
No, not at all.
Well, I guess it does give a little bit of a greater emphasis on the importance of overall public health. And
Correct.
Obviously everybody that's here to support us on an ongoing basis for over the last 100 years. That's a lot of times we forget about it. So I'm glad in some respects that the pandemic did give a little bit more of a feature spotlight on all the great individuals and experts that are working in the public health department.
All right.
So I guess getting into the sort of health component of it, what are some of the things that you think are most important, in your opinion, for us to live a healthy life?
Yeah. So, I'll go through a list. Obviously, it's not in any particular order. So first and foremost, of course, exercise. It helps to maintain or reach a healthy weight. Prevents health conditions and disease, improves your mood. So you have endorphins released in your body when you're exercising. So it helps to make you happier. It helps boost your energy, promotes better sleep quality. And it could be a way to socialize. So, there's a lot of group settings where you can exercise and meet new individuals who have, are like-minded, have, the same habits. So there are many good aspects to exercise beyond just the physical. And of course, as I spoke on, it helps promote better sleep. Well, sleep, of course, proper sleep improves your immune function, your memory, your cognition, and your mood. So that's another important thing to make sure that you're getting the appropriate amount of sleep. Typically, they say about 7 to 8 hours, depending on your age. Healthy eating. So provide your body with essential nutrients that you wouldn't get otherwise unless you're actually consuming the appropriate foods. So it helps your body perform optimally. Healthy eating is linked to better mental health and overall mood, prevents deficiencies of certain nutrients that are linked to mental health conditions. So that could be like your B vitamins, your vitamin D. They say vitamin D is like the happy vitamin. So of course, getting out, get some sunlight. If not, trying to supplement with things that are either fortified with vitamin D or supplement. There's obviously other nutrients too that play a role in your mental state. So anxiety, depression. If you have those deficiencies, it could cause you issues. Beyond even the mental, it could start affecting your physical health. High hydration. So your body's composed majority of water. So it helps to flush out toxins. It carries nutrients to your body and aids in, cell renewal. Your body's constantly creating new cells. So this helps with all of that. And then enjoying your leisure time. So self-care, it's necessary for living a healthy and balanced lifestyle. And it's also important to take time out of your day to de-stress, because too much stress can have an effect on all aspects of your wellness. And then working with your healthcare provider to address any risk factors you may have. They could be due to some of the bad habits you formed, or they could even be genetic, where it's not your fault, it just runs in your family. So that could be annual checkups and preventive screenings. So those are a couple of things that I feel are the most important to live a healthy lifestyle.
And so there's a couple of different things you mentioned there. Obviously, some of the things that we sort of take for granted, or maybe don't even think about, oh, that's not going to help, affect my health that much. A couple of ones that, sort of just sort of highlighted or, sort of rang a bell, I guess, for me, was obviously staying hydrated, was really important, obviously, as we get into the summer,
Right.
Getting enough sleep. A lot of times we feel like, oh, we're just going to work through it and punch through, and we don't need as many sleep, as much sleep, which makes it hard to not only function, but obviously it affects our decision making in terms of some of those things regarding eating healthy and eating well. From there, obviously enjoying your leisure time, I think was super important, right? The idea that you need a little bit of a balance. I think that's super important for us to remember. A lot of times we lean one way too far or the other, and again, if we do have a good balance there, that is important. And the idea that all these things are connected, the idea of, how our physical health affects our mental health and vice versa in terms of that, I think is very important. So now you mentioned during that, while you were describing some of the ways that doing these things, really are important for our body and our health. Would you mind just doing a recap? Like, if people are actually trying to live a little bit healthier, focusing on their overall well-being, doing some of the things that we just mentioned, what are some of the things that you think individuals might start seeing as benefits to implementing some of these potential options that you mentioned?
Yeah, so I mean, going down the list, exercising, it helps to boost your mood. It makes you more confident. Your body starts performing more optimally. You have better lung capacity, you have better blood flow. And then coupling that with eating healthy, you're going to feel better. You're not going to have any deficiencies. It's going to put you in a better mood. If you are having issues with your mental health, you'll definitely start seeing some changes with that. Obviously, sleeping, if you're getting the appropriate sleep, you're more energetic, you're not as irritable. Again, good for your mental health as well. So really all those things coupled together just improve your mood, improve your physical health. Especially if you're predisposed, so you have an increased risk of certain health outcomes, diabetes, heart disease, anything like that. You may be at a disadvantage because of those things. Again, sometimes not at any fault of your own, but it helps to alleviate those symptoms or even prevent them altogether. So you're going to start feeling better about yourself. You're going to have more energy. I know sometimes I get off the rail and I'm not exercising. I have a 7-month-old, so it's been kind of difficult to transition to being a father and still taking care of myself. So I definitely notice when I don't exercise, I don't eat healthy, I don't practice, getting the proper amount of sleep, I start feeling, worse, more tired, I'm not as energetic, I don't feel as social. So those things help to improve all of those things, and just to live an overall healthy lifestyle. And of course that just ties into your social life. If you're not feeling good about yourself, you don't want to be around other people. And the social aspect of health is very important. Building those connections, meeting new people, and especially if you are having issues, you have a support system in place if you're practicing all of these things together. So that's pretty much why it's important. I'm sure a lot of this stuff is common to some, but maybe not common to other people. So it's just good to kind of hear that. And starting out small, doing a couple of things every day and building on that, it'll go a long way. Keeping a diary, holding yourself accountable. I put in my phone reminders to do things because life is busy. We all are running a million miles an hour every day. So it's just good to if you are starting from scratch, just building off of those things, doing a little bit at a time. Whether it be going on a walk every day for 10-15 minutes and building off of that. Reaching out to family and friends if you've kind of lost connection or you're not as social. Maybe replacing one of your sugary beverages with a water. Adding an extra cup of vegetables within one of your meals. So some of those small things go a long way. And again, you're going to feel better about yourself. It's backed by science. Sitting around all day not doing anything isn't healthy for us, or our bodies are built to be active, social, and eating healthy.
Yeah, that's a great reminder. Again, some of them are things we probably know, but hearing them again, I think it's just good. It's good to hear it, get us back on track. And that's some of the things that are important. So thank you for sharing that. Obviously sometimes health and wellness seems pretty complicated. You're not sure, what, should I do this or that? And there's all kinds of contradictory information. What are some common mistakes that you think, that you've seen people make in terms of, their overall health and wellness?
Yeah, so a couple things that I personally believe. So some people may not believe in this, but I think skipping breakfast is a mistake. To me, breakfast is the most important part of your day. Get your day going. You're fueling your body for the day, getting the proper nutrients, helps you to focus, get your tasks done in a timely manner. Provides boost to your mood and your energy. And if you're not eating breakfast, if you are skipping breakfast, a lot of times then you have to make up for that later in the day. Also, your body's kind of can go into like a survival mode where you're not getting the appropriate nutrients for a while. So your body may want to store fat to use later on as energy. So your body wants to preserve itself. So it can increase your risk of developing diabetes, and can lead to obesity as well. Another thing is exercising too much. Yes, that is a thing. If you're not giving your body the time to recover, recoup, then you could have damage to muscle. So if you're trying to build more muscle, if you're over exercising, you could actually lose muscle. It's called atrophy. You can weaken your immune system if your body's constantly trying to repair itself, and obviously it's not able to fight off diseases and illnesses as well. You could have hormonal changes due to that, and also just injury in general. If you're fatigued and not giving yourself time to recoup, if you go to exercise again, you could actually hurt yourself, which is what you don't want, because I know once you're injured, you have to rest, you can't do anything, and then all of the progress you saw, is gone. We talked about sleep before. Not sleeping enough, very important. As I said before, it seems like there's not enough hours in the day, but it is very important to put aside, the allotted hours every night to get the appropriate amount of sleep. Helps the body function normally and just improves your overall health, as I stated before. And then one other thing is sitting all day. Now, obviously, I'm sitting right now. Some days I do sit at my desk more because I have to get work done, documentation. But that can lead to poor posture. It increases your risk of cardiovascular disease and can reverse the effects of exercise, especially if you're sitting for 7-8 hours a day. So if you have a job where you're sitting a lot, and especially if you come home and you're watching a lot of TV and you're sitting, it could have you could have issues due to that, and also can increase your risk of blood clots as well. You're sitting down, you have a lot of pressure on your legs, can cut off circulation. So it is good if you are sitting a lot, making sure you're being proactive and mindful. Say every half hour to an hour, getting up, walk around for 10 minutes or so, and then get back to it. Helps get that circulation going, helps you get some low impact exercise. So if you're sitting a lot during the day, just make sure you're being mindful, getting up every so often, because it is good for your health. So those are several of the common mistakes that I've seen, personally, and from other people, and things that I think are important to be mindful of.
Thank you. And I know one of the things that you mentioned earlier is, the idea of stress. Now, obviously, the last couple of years have been pretty unbelievable for almost everybody, right?
Right.
And obviously, stress does have an impact on our health in a lot of ways. What are some of your thoughts on the impact of stress on our health?
Yeah, so obviously everyone deals with stress every day. Some stress can be good, and it's just a natural and physical reaction to all of our life experiences. So, from time to time, it's fine to be under stress. It's not detrimental. But what does happen is, if you're having chronic stress, you're constantly under, your body constantly feels under attack. It can make you sick. Too much stress leads to long-term release of stress hormones, so that would be like your cortisol and your adrenaline. And if you're constantly under stress, you may start noticing some symptoms. So just be aware of things such as headache, upset stomach, high blood pressure, chest pain, and even trouble sleeping is a sign and symptom of overstress. So this can lead to emotional problems. You could be irritable, have violent mood swings, depression, anxiety. And then this also could lead to bad habits being formed, smoking, drug use, overeating, drinking, and so on. So those are some of the impacts that stress can have, and just some of the symptoms to be looking out for. And that way, you're aware of it, and you could take the necessary actions to either cope or eliminate those stressors in your life.
Thank you for that. Let's say somebody's dealing with a lot of stress. We're all, like you mentioned, we're all dealing with stress in general on a daily basis. Do you have any thoughts on how people might work to manage their stress?
Yeah. So talked about it before. Exercise releases endorphins, so the happy hormones. So that helps you to de-stress. Some people are into meditation, deep breathing exercises, obviously healthy eating. So stress on the body creates free radicals. Free radicals can damage your body physically. So, eating healthy, things high in antioxidants. So it could be, your nuts, your seeds, your green leafy vegetables, your berries are all high in antioxidants to help fight those stressors. Obviously, you need to get at the root cause of the stress. So exercising helps with that, figuring out what triggers you and limiting or eliminating them. Now, most of the time you can't eliminate stress, but you can work to cope with it better, or at least alleviate it a little bit. And then talking about your problems with family, friends, or even a professional if needed. So that's why social health is very important, having those connections and those individuals you can speak with, because if you're stuck in your head all day, you're not going to get any better. So you have to be open to speaking with individuals on those issues that you're having. So those are a couple ways that individuals can help manage their stress better.
And I'm guessing, if you're talking about managing or, your stress or coping, obviously with your stress, that obviously is going to impact your overall mental health. So if you're able to work on some of those coping mechanisms or some of those different things like exercise, which not only helps your physical side, helps your mental side, it obviously can be very impactful. But, have you seen anything, and even personally, this is a personal experience, that where you had a benefit of managing your stress and how that's affected your overall mental health, and maybe how that's spilled over into your physical health?
Yeah, so I could do some personal. When COVID hit, and even since then, it's just been kind of adapting to things, not being able to socialize as much. And I started not eating as healthy, not being as physically active. Also, too, when my son came, I kind of transitioned to taking care of him more and adapting to the fact that I'm not getting the correct amount of sleep right now. So I just kind of making a larger effort in, taking the time out of my day, either getting up early before work. It seems like that's the best time I could exercise and have my alone time, because, typically at work, I'm working with individuals, or, when I get home, I'm spending time with my family. So really just getting on a schedule, meal prepping. Sundays, I would typically prep my meals ahead of time, because, life's busy. And the first thing in the morning, I really don't want to have to make breakfast. So I try to do something beforehand, the night before, or like I said, on a Sunday, or I have my meals planned out for the week. That way, it's more time where I can, actually enjoy my meal and then enjoy my time with my family. Or if I'm going to exercise, I have more time to do that. So reading is a good way for me to escape and kind of de-stress. Going on walks, getting outside. I definitely notice in the winter time, when I'm not getting the appropriate amount of sunlight, I do get what's called seasonal depression, where I just feel tired, slow. I don't feel like doing anything. I'm not motivated. So those are some of the things that I worked on personally. I just made it a large effort, and luckily my significant other, she's into the same health and wellness, so it helps. It's good to have a buddy system to hold each other accountable to do these things, because like I said, I definitely feel a difference when I'm not doing the right things for my body. Your body's going to tell you when you're doing something wrong, and then when you start doing the appropriate thing, you start feeling better about yourself, more motivated, more energetic. So those are just some of the personal aspects of my mental, physical health. I even noticed that I was more irritable when I wasn't taking care of myself. I noticed that, I could definitely tell I was more stressed because I was getting headaches. I typically have headaches, beyond the fact that, my son gets up at night and affects my sleep. I definitely noticed that it was harder for me to fall asleep because of my stress. So I knew I needed to do something because I want to stay healthy, especially with, the pandemic and everything going on. I didn't want to put myself at a risk of getting sick, where I otherwise would be able to fight off an illness, or not, or be able to fight off an illness appropriately. So, not only for my benefit, but for my family's. I don't want to bring anything home to my family. So, it helps to, have a good immune system when you're taking care of yourself and not getting stressed out, and, doing things to cope the mental health. And then, I have a good network of family and friends that I spend time with. So I know I kind of ramble on about a couple of things. I went from A to Z to 1 to 3, but just thinking of things that I had to do this past couple of years, and, with things that happen in life, life changes, being a father, those are some of the things that I noticed and things that I needed to do to, correct my unhealthy habits.
I appreciate you sharing that. I think, you're right on point. Certain life happens, congratulations, obviously, on your baby. But I mean, as that changes, you got to figure out how to change, all the things you were doing previously, and how important it was. So, I appreciate your transparency on, how potentially when you weren't able to focus on it, potentially how it threw you off a little bit, but then one of the reasons that you want to get back on. So before we wrap it up today, we open up for questions from the audience. Is there anything else that you would like to just point out specifically about, obviously things that you think are important as a health educator?
Yeah, it's everything I talked about is very important. With Google at your fingertips, it's easy to get access to all this information, finding about different programs, events. If you're interested in like bicycling, there's local bike clubs that you can get involved in. Sometimes looking out for memberships within local gyms. A lot of times they have promotional material. A lot of our nonprofit organizations and local healthcare systems have a lot of programming that you could even do via Zoom. Like I know Mercy Health has their Stepping Out program. I think we talked about that, Steve, when we met last week. So just taking the time to take care of yourself, look to see what's out there for you, reaching out to the experts. I'd be happy to provide my information if anyone does have any further questions. And if it's something that, I don't feel comfortable speaking on, or I don't have the expertise, I could, pass that information along or give you the information to the appropriate person. But yes, being physically active, eating healthy, getting appropriate sleep, making those social connections are all very important. And then just being able to identify certain things when you're not feeling right, when you're starting to feel down mentally, when you're feeling more tired, just being aware of those signs and symptoms, and knowing the appropriate things to do. So like I said, even if you're starting from scratch, say you got off the wagon, just starting to do things small incrementally, you'll get motivated again. They say it takes about 30 days, 21 to 30 days to build a habit. So if you stay consistent with things, get a schedule, get a diary, holding yourself accountable, getting that network, and having that buddy to work with you, they're all very important to get you back on track or keep you on track. I've always definitely done better when I've tried to do things with others instead of just taking things on myself. So those are just a couple of things I could think of just to kind of reiterate from what I had stated before.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kris, for taking your time today. Again, Kris is from the Trumbull County Health Department, who's also part of the Live Well Trumbull initiative. Again, all about trying to help not only our residents, but obviously the workforce in Trumbull County continue to achieve optimal wellness. So thanks for joining us today, Kris. Appreciate it.
Thank you.